and then we'll. Thank you.
Hello, sorry. Sorry.
So I was just saying that our session is in continuity with the session from last week, and we'll focus today on communication intended as institutional communication and the strategy behind how institutions communicate to the outside world. And we feature our own experts of communication in UNIMED, and we would like to share our experience. We have been growing quite a lot over the past few years. That's why also the number of people involved in communication activities in UNIMED has grown. And today with us, we have Emilia Stoduto, which is our communication manager, and she's in charge of the overall strategy behind UNIMED's communication activities. And then we have Hamila, which is just sitting next to me, and she has joined us a few years ago, and she's mostly in charge of the social media of UNIMED, but also assisting some of our project manager in communication activities. And then we have Federica Muli, which, as I said before, is a well-known face in our project. She's in charge for UNIMED of the dissemination of projects, including Ibtikar. She's also involved in a number of other activities related to project management, but right now she will be wearing the dress of the communication officer. So I'll leave the floor to Emilia to introduce the session and to present our experience. Thank you, Emilia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Martina. صباح الخير لكل. I'm Emilia Stoduto, and I work in UNIMED since a long time. Now I'm in charge, I'm the communication manager and coordination. That means that within UNIMED, we manage the institutional communication, but we also manage the communication of all the activity we do, and that includes the project ones, and try to, of course, include the overall project communication that are, of course, linked to topics, to particular topics that are among UNIMED priorities, and deal with that to have an integrated system and a clear message for our institutional communication. Now I'm going to share my screen. And please let me know if you see it. Okay, do you see it? Perfect. So today we would like to go straight to the point. So how to do an effective communication. And this is linked to every institution, every organization, how a communication should be organized to be effective, actually. The main steps that we are going to talk about today are the strategy, the plan, and the evaluation. So what about the strategy? The strategy, of course, includes the very detailed plan of internal and external communication action and activities that are done at organization or institutional level. And it is structured by replying actually two main questions, what and why. So what are the results we are looking for? Why are we communicating with our audience? And what's the goal for our communication? Who is it for? And what are we trying to achieve? And why we are trying to achieve it? Very important aspect, according to the communication, is that the communication is not isolated aspect. It is a participating process. So the strategy is actually built at a higher level. So the strategy represents which is the mission of our university, our organization. And it involves many staff, many resources, and everything. How now we are going to say the basic element that should be included in a strategy. When we draft the strategy, a communication strategy, we should put very clearly which are the objectives. Then we should identify our target audience and insight. And these are also elements that are based on experience and results of previous experience that we have had. we have to set clear communication goals. So what we want people to know, to feel, or to do. Then we have to indicate and elaborate clear key messages. And these are based, of course, on the target audience insights and communication goals. Then we have to accompany this process, setting up branding guidelines, because also the visibility, the identity, the visual identity is accompanying the strengthening of the institution and organization position, mission, and vision. Then we have to take into account, of course, the available resources, and this is in terms of financial resources and also human resources. So we have to take into consideration the staff we are working with, which are their competencies. And then another important step and element for the strategy is to actually collect and do research to see clearly which are the challenges, which are the sectoral trends, and which are the relevant competitor information. So, you know, we could benchmark other competitors, how they are dealing with what we are planning to do. And then it is a very important element that will be shown off more in details also by my other colleagues later on. I'm sorry, could you close the microphone if you're not speaking? Sorry, I'm not able to do it right now. I'm sorry. Thank you. And we should deal with the key performance indicators. So the key performance indicators should be very clear, also because they will be relevant for us when we are going to evaluate work that we are going to carry on. After we have done the strategy, which is, let's say, that include the overall dimension of our university, we should, of course, implement we should implement a plan for this strategy to be carried on. And for this, I will leave the floor to my colleague Federica Muli. She will go to the plan and actually how do we implement the action that we want to carry on as we are supposed to be in our communication strategy. Thank you, Federica. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Emilia. Good morning, everyone. So the communication plan is strictly related to the strategy. And we have to keep in mind two main points, we can say. Never improvise, and to create a written communication plan. This can be always updated in according to the university needs and also to the university goals. So how we will create a communication plan? It is important to say that the communication plan should outline the approach that will be adopted to achieve the objectives. So we have to find the way to communicate the value of an institution, its programs to the global audience. And your communication plan will consider how you will reach people in your community. So you need to establish communication objectives, so what you want to increase or decrease, and you can do this establishing categories and content. So it will be a key point, the content format. So what type of content do you need to create? And you can establish to reach different audience through different content. So the content needed to reach audience according to the message you want to spread. And by knowing the audience, the content can be tailored accordingly. How you can do this? Establishing a channel list, and so through a channel strategy. So how which channel is the best way to reach your audience? And this can depend, of course, on country, region, culture, but of course, audience, tools, and of course, the goals you want to reach. We can have different type of channels. We can use, for example, interactive channels, but also written, such as written media, but also TV, social media, and also the organization of an event can be a communication. So it is important to establish the strategy and how to use this channel. Of course, among these, you can find some challenges and are related to the way to communicate. So it is important to identify a team dedicated to communication through, as also Emilia said, dedicated resources to communication. And then you have to do a follow-up in order to establish if you reach the results. So going to the next slide. Thank you. As said, we have to establish the channel, and each channel can be focused on a list with goals, tools, audience, as we said, and we can say that the importance of this of a strategic approach, it is related to the way we use this channel. Different tools and communication channels can be the right way to achieve your goals, and we can exploring together also different communication channels such as social media, and also the way to use this social media. Speaking about Ibtikar, for example, as you know, we have Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So how to be attractive, how to communicate, how to be sure that the audience know what the project is doing. We can define the content types. We can create common hashtag. We can create common, for example, Canva, as the case of this meeting. We are using in the Facebook and Twitter page a common tag, a common Canva that give visibility to the activities of the project. Next slide, please. The main objective of social networks and social media use are strictly related to the dissemination. So allow the creation of more interactive dissemination, exchange experiences between partners, raise awareness about project goals, and also disseminate the information, the activities, and the results of the project. And you can do this through the target audiences. So you can choose to spread the information internally, but also to a wide public. The next slide, please. It is important to underline that the website is also a channel, and it is important, we can say, is one of the first tool we use to discover more about something. We always look for a website. So it is important that this website have some key aspects, we can say. One of the main problems could be related to the language. Sometimes, for example, if we look for a Spanish university, we will find that the website is written just in Spanish. This will be a sort of obstacle for people who want to discover more about that university, of that project. So a multilingual website, and usually using the English, will help to reach your goals. The website should offer some functionality. It should be easy to navigate in, attractive, but also interactive. One of the most important things today is also that this should be accessible on mobile device. This website should ensure the accessibility also through different browser, and not, for example, just Chrome or Internet Explorer. It is important to define the key section. For example, the welcome section, about the information about the university, but also the contact address, in order to easily reach people and ask for information. The use of professional translators sometimes. So if you decide to offer a website content in different language, is important to have a professional translated website. And we can say later, please, the next slide, some bad practices. Analyzing some website, we notice that, for example, it is, as said before, in just one language. So this could be, for example, Arabic language, Spanish language, French language, with no other option. These avoid the avoid and also obstacle the communication. Sometimes there is no more information, so just one paragraph, or a lack of information concerning, for example, the faculty, the courses, the international offer. There is no email option, so just the generic info @ email, and this is a sort of also problem to reach a specific person. The website could be also incomprehensive or difficult to find some information or to navigate in. There could be some section with the under construction and is not attractive for people. And also the graphic is a key element to establish the visibility of that university. And I will show you a good practice, an example of a good practice website, because there is we can say a study that rank university according to the structure of their website, and this website that we will show you is one of the best website, because it, and you will see, it is well built. I don't know if it is possible.
Yes, I don't know if you are
we will see the community
yeah,
now okay, yes. So what you immediately see, it is that the website is attractive because of images, but also because it is easy to navigate in. You will find all the information. You can use the search tool to find the specific information. Then also at the scrolling the website, you will find that it is interactive. So for students, for example, in order to, I don't know, increase also the internationalization of the university, for students, it is really simple to navigate in, to have a good approach, and it is attractive, as we said. So this is one of the best websites in the rank list of the website. Thank you, Emilia. We can, okay, thank you. So continuing with our presentation, I will give the floor to Amina, my colleague, in order to explain us how to evaluate the results and if we achieve the results. Thank you, Amina.
Thank you, Federica. Thank you, Emilia. Sabah al-khair, الناس الكل. So I am Amina, and I've been working with UNIMED for a few years now, as Martina explained. So to continue this talk about the communication strategy, the most important element after setting a strategy, implementing it, and it's the evaluation. What went right and what went wrong with my communication strategy. Three important elements here are the analytics, the monitoring tools, and the dissemination reports. So the analytics involves the systematic analysis of data to extract meaningful insight, patterns, and trends. In the context of communication, analytics provide a quantitative understanding of how your message are performing across various channels. And the application of the analytics is by employing analytics tools. So you can measure the reach, engagement, and impact of your communication efforts. And this data-driven approach usually helps in assessing the effectiveness of your messages and allow for informed decision-making to optimize future communication strategies. So in other words, once you have your strategy, once you have your social media, your very nice website, it's time to evaluate and to progress, of course. And this done usually by the different analytics that the different websites and social media usually gives, and also other tools that we will see shortly. And then we have the monitoring tools. Now, these monitoring tools will help us analyze our communication strategy. And the monitoring tools are instruments of software that track and observe communication activities in real time. They allow you to keep a close eye on mentions, for example, discussions and reactions related to your institution across different platforms. Now, how we apply these monitoring tools. So these tools enable you to stay proactive in managing your institution reputation by monitoring social media, for example, news outlet, if you have an event, and other relevant channels. So you can identify emerging trends, address potential issues, and promptly, of course, and capitalize on positive opportunities. Finally, dissemination reports. So the dissemination reports are comprehensive documents that detail the distribution and impact of communication message. They provide a summary of the channels used, the audience reached, and the overall success of the communication campaign. And the application is by creating dissemination report because it's crucial for the accountability and improvement, of course, and also for the internal work and the internal communication. These reports help the stakeholders, including leadership and communication teams, understand the outcomes of the communication efforts. So we've talked about the strategy, the implementation, and now we need to know the efforts. And through detailed analysis, you can always refine strategies, allocate resource effectively, and demonstrate the value of communication initiatives. Because once you do this communication strategy, it will not stay the same forever because your work evolves, you evolve, your team evolve, and there's the trends and the algorithm that daily change. So you need also to update your strategy, and this is usually done by the evaluation. Next slide, yes. So now we will be talking about measuring impact and driving continuous improvement, how we will measure our impact on through this strategy. So analytics, monitoring tools, and dissemination reports, as we already mentioned, form a cohesive framework for managing and evaluating communication strategies. The analytics provide the data needed for informed decision-making. The monitoring tools ensure real-time awareness, and dissemination reports offer a retrospective analysis that inform future communication planning. Now, we will be talking a little bit about some good practices and some good tools that we can follow up these the evaluation. So it's very important to establish KPIs for your communication, whether quantitative or qualitative metrics. So quantitative metrics can be, for example, the website analytics. The best practice is to regularly analyze website data using tools like Google Analytics on track. Also, some websites provide internal website analytics that you can use, and there are popular pages to see the overall engagement on your website. If you post something on Facebook, for example, that is related to a news, you can see how many people enter to that news by the clicks and analytics like this. And then we have the social media metrics, which are easier to have and most of the time free. So it's best to utilize social media analytics tools. For example, we have the Facebook Insights, LinkedIn Insights, Twitter Analytics, and so on, to measure reach, engagement, and audience demographics. So these tools really give good analytics. You can know who your audience are, for example, the gender of your audience, the ages of the people that are visiting your social media, and what kind of content is more appealing to your audience and what is not. And these free, usually, tools provide this analytics. Another very interesting tool that, for example, we also use here in UNIMED is the Hotsuite. So Hotsuite is really good when it comes to management. So you can manage your communication work by pre-posting. So for example, you are organizing a campaign that will occur in 2 weeks and you are starting to do dissemination. So Hotsuite helps you to manage your team and your time and your effort by by planning these posts in advance so that you can move onward doing something else. It also gives you the opportunity to have another kind of analytics and deeper. So Hotsuite is really highly recommended for like big campaign works, for example. And then the other type of KPIs is qualitative metrics now. If you are working with international partners, if you are working with other universities, it's very important to have kind of surveys to know what went right and wrong again with your communication. So it's very advised to have stakeholder surveys because if you conduct periodic surveys to gather qualitative insight from students, faculty, staff, for example, and other stakeholders about your work, it's always good for you because you can know what to edit in your strategy. You can have focus groups, for example. So if you work a lot on your social media to communicate with the students of the university or for the staff, it's advised to have focus groups and to receive qualitative feedback on communication. For example, conducting biannual surveys for feedback. And hosting quarterly focus group with alumni, gather insights on communication channels and preferences, and so on. So monitoring and adjusting the communication goals now. As we mentioned earlier, the communication strategy doesn't always stay the same. For example, some organizations or universities update their communication on a yearly basis, some on every 2 years, some every 3 years, because as we mentioned, everything changes. Your goals changes, you want to advance, so you will not always remain into that same box. So it's very important to have regular assessment in which you continue to monitor, implement, and track progress regularly and make adjustments as needed. So for example, what is the best content for your audience? What is the best format for your audience? What is the best social media? Because maybe for the staff, they are more on Twitter. For students, they are more on Instagram, for example. Your stakeholders can be found on Twitter as well, the news, the media. So it's good to, when you know your audience, you know their preference. And then you have the post-campaign. So if you're having a campaign, if you're having a huge event, if you have like university elections, for example, and you are delivering the outcomes, it's really important to conduct a post-campaign assessment after a major communication campaign to identify success and areas of improvement for future campaigns. And then we have feedback. So online feedback platforms, you can utilize online platforms like surveys, institutional websites, social media polls for the students, for example, to know the ongoing feedback from the audience. And you can have regular forum by establishing regular open communication, allowing stakeholders or international partners to share their thoughts about your work and your communication. Now, it's very important also in the framework of the evaluation to analyze case studies and benchmarks. What do we mean by this? So by benchmarking, it's best practice to regularly benchmark communication strategies against peer institutions to identify gaps and adopt successful practices. So it's not that you compare your work to others, but just to see, for example, you hear from your students that this website, or like we saw from Federica earlier, this website is very user-friendly, is very interesting. So you can take a look, for example, and make a positive critical on what you're doing, and to identify this gap and adopt a successful practice. Also, industry reports. So refer to industry reports and studies to stay updated for new trends. Here we know that social media and the communication in general changes every day. The algorithm changes every day. We have new tools, we have new trends. So it's very important to stay updated on this, to see what are the new trends, what are the new social media, for example, that are most followed by your audience, and to also always be updated. Now, the last thing in not only evaluation, but for the communication strategy in general, is the continuous improvement, the lifelong learning. So the continuous learning culture fosters a culture of continuous learning within the communication team, first, of course, and encouraging experimentation and learning from both successful and failures. And this is where the evaluation part comes. And then you have the post-implementation reviews. So after implementing changes, conduct post-implementation reviews to assess their impact and make further adjustment. That's it for the evaluation part. These three parts are really important, and they go hand in hand, and each part is complementary to the next. Now we are moving for a small game with Federica. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, we have talked about the strategy, the communication plan, best practice and bad practices, but also the evaluation and how to evaluate your goals and activities. So we would like to play with you, we can say, asking you some questions, and you can answer in an anonymously way. So we will share with you the link on the chat, and I will share. Okay, good, thank you. And I will share my screen in order to show you the answer we'll receive. So
just to add something, when you will read the question, please feel free to put in the reply your experience or experience that you have heard about.
Okay, so you can answer and we can analyze together your answers.
So this is, we ask you to say us successful example of institution with effective communication strategies. And this is based on your experience or experience you have heard about, and yes, some examples that we would like to discuss with you, starting from your input.
Emilia, is it too biased if I put UNIMED?
Yes.
Well, then I won't.
Okay, so we received the first answer. The link is on the chat, so you can use the link.
Yeah, we are talking of high budget communication possibilities. Yeah, that's interesting. European University Association.
Maybe also some example that has happened within your university. So how an event has been spread and this achieved a good result. So in the institution, you can also include the universities.
Federica, in answering this question, it can also be from a personal observation. Once if they saw a website that they appreciated, the social media that they appreciate how the communication is done. So it can be in that perspective as well, and not yes.
Yes. There are a lot of interesting answers. I think we can also start to analyze some of these answers together. And then we will launch the next question on digital website, okay? So one common word we can say is, of course, related to Google. And yeah, so browsers, the use of Google today, but also social network and website.
You can also ask if someone wants to, let's say, comment or send better some replies. I mean, we know we said it is anonymous, but of course, feel free to comment on what colleagues shared here, or if you want to better, let's say, explain your replies. Yeah, what we noticed that is also that many of the examples that you have shared, we can say that I mean, there are international organizations or international, let's say, enterprises that have, of course, big budgets for following up on communication. So that also means a well-structured newsroom, which is how we were saying before, the need of staff that is focusing on this particular task, but also their competencies, because within an association, within any institution, the communication unit should have on board people with different and transversal competencies. For example, if we stick to the point that we have to keep in mind that is never improvised, because communication is something that we see everywhere and always, and it is the first thing that you see, but is not planned at the last minute. And for doing that, there is, as we have seen, a plan behind. So people that are in charge of, let's say, relation with the press, or the graphic illustrator that we have on our institution to create the materials that represent our visual identity, but at the same level that are, let's say, done in the format that are useful for the different channels we use. The elaboration of the key message, the evaluation that we do. So it is a never-ending work. It is a continuous work that implies different competencies working together. And the other aspect that we mentioned is the fact that the communication unit never works alone. It is completely, let's say, in contact with the higher level within an institution, also within all the offices that are part of the institution, to communicate properly, to plan properly, and to provide the unique, let's say, message and mission that the institution wants to be communicated. So if there are no comments on this, Fede, I think that we can gather all this reply to be attached within the presentation that we will further share with them, highlighting these aspects so that people, can have a look on the website of the institution mentioned, or on some particular campaign, if you have something precisely in mind.
Yeah, something interesting is, for example, as social media channels, they wrote Facebook and also YouTube, but nobody, for example, wrote Twitter. So this could be, or Instagram, this could be also interesting, because speaking about a target audience, we can understand that sometimes Instagram are used by students, for example, and not in order to spread some messages related to the university communication goals. So I will stop and I will put you the second question.
Yeah, or
okay.
I can do.
Okay, so I will share the screen again with the second.
Oh, sorry. There it is, the link. So now we want to ask you for bad practices. So unsuccessful example of the institution with their communication strategy campaign that didn't work, based on experience, or of course of what you have seen around. We can talk a lot later.
Yeah. Also to comments, to have some comments about your answers. This could be interesting.
Yeah, because this is, yeah, it is called training, but it is a discussion. It is always the time and the place to improve, to grow, to point out the critical aspects, and yeah, share suggestion, advices among us.
Yeah, for example, also it is a good point. So having the institution name on social media in a non-accessible language, some Greek university, and honestly, I do not speak yet Arab, for example, and sometimes when I have to publish some posts and I find the name written in just in an Arabic language, it could be difficult also for me to tag, for example, the university page. So, for example, to put both name in the social media pages could be a way to be more visible and to be easily reached. But if you want, I can also show you a way to tag, for example, the page, even if it is written in Greek. Because when you go to Facebook, for example, and you click just here, and you will find the name written in Latin. So you can copy this name of the page and you can tag or have access to the page just using this way.
I just read, I intervened, sorry, because I also make a link with what Amina was presenting, for example, earlier. She mentioned among the tools also the Hootsuite platform, which is a platform for the management of social media publication. And it can, as Amina mentioned, really help and support the team when a communication campaign is planned. Because you can let's say prepare in advance everything and plan everything in advance. And what this Hootsuite platform does as well is to advise on which are the best time spots to publish some content, for example, because based on the analytics tool inside of the platform, Hootsuite suggests better advice and time, because there is the analytics that they carry on, so the monitoring of the people connected at what time on which communication social media channel. So it's good that you point out that.
Also, this point, not having the social media accounts on the website, which makes it hard to look for an official page. I completely agree, also in this case. And for example, also relating to a project, this could be a problem. So one of the tools that you can use within your university, within a project, within a project, could be, as the Ibtikar project, the creation of an Excel document with all the official page of the partner universities. So, for example, in the shared folder of the drive, you can easily find also this information. Speaking about university, it will be really important to have the social media accounts written on the website, indeed.
This aspect is also in line with the visual identity of an institution. You need to have complete information that forwards you to the, let's say, the main challenge, the main showcase of your institution. And basically it is, as we all know, is the website, the main tool available and accessible for all, no matter where we are based, but it is. So we should also have the the plan to be everything organized in harmony with the right information, correct information, because this is also a part of meta communication. So if we communicate something, but we do not provide the basic indication, we are in that case communicating that we are not organized and just come a bit unprepared in some cases. Huh?
Sorry, Amina, if I join up the conversation, but I just read a comment which was about having contacts displayed on the channels, and I'm thinking, for example, of all the times that we produce a website for a project, but also on the institutional website. We have experienced that many times on the institutional website of universities, there is the organigram of the university. There are contacts from the the speech of the presidents and the board of directors. Sometimes names and roles are displayed. But what we have heard several times from our, for example, European universities in the UNIMED network is that when they want to reach out to one university, they don't know who to contact and how to contact them. So this may sound very simple, but when we talk about internationalization, and when we talk about getting in contact, signing agreements, doing initiatives together, the very first entry point for anyone willing to know about one university is to go through the website, look at what they do, but also find immediately a contact to reach. And most often, the general email of the institution is either unread or it's overcrowded with emails. So if I can make any suggestion out of the blue, is to make sure that all the contacts of the most relevant people, so not only, of course, the president, but the International Relations Office, the director of the research centers, all the people which have capacity of interacting with the outside world is displayed with the name, roles, email, contacts, in a way that single researchers, other institutions, network, whoever has an interest in getting in contact with the university is able to find the right person to contact.
Yes, thank you, Martina. This is true. It's very relevant for a huge organization. Yeah, to have the right person to be reached out for that specific content, I mean, for this specific request.
And as said before, this point can be also listed in the bad practices, because in this way a website could be ranked in the list of the bad website, because of it will not be easy to have this kind of information to contact, as in Martina, a specific person. So it is simple. It is something that you can say yes, but it is simple to have the contact. Instead, when you look for in some website, it is not so easy. So it is really important to be careful in this case.
I also see here another interesting comment, which is very true for the communication. Could you go a bit down now, Fede? Yes, thank you. Yeah, it is said here, Center for Disease Control and Prevention has been criticized for being too complex and for using jargon. It's difficult for the public to understand. This is also very true. And this mostly happens also when we communicate about projects. We always use jargon that is just addressing the internal staff or the expert staff that know what a WUPI is about. So another key point is to analyze the language that we use. The communication should be clear and accessible for everyone, because this is according to the audience we want to reach. Because if we are also addressing to general public or local community that do not are involved, let's say, for example, in a project, but they are interested in the topic of the project, they should be aware, they should be able to read what we are talking about. This is something that in UNIMED we are doing. We, we work in many projects, but behind the project itself, there are the topics, the priorities. So we talk about the topics and the priority using a language that is accessible for all, avoiding the technical jargon to reach more a larger audience.
I think we can.
Wow, there are a lot of them.
Yes.
So also in this, we can, share this, analyzing that further, and use them as a reflection for the work.
Also evaluation. Yeah. So I will share with you the last question.
I can share it in the chat, so they do not.
Not at the screen, I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
It is. So the last question is about evaluation.
So how to improve? So answers are already arriving. How to improve institution communication strategies and plan.
As we said, it's a never-ending process to improve, to adapt, renew our strategy and plan according to the change of the need, the change of the audience, the change of the objective we have. So the evaluation can be done depending on the need, but on a yearly basis or 2 years, twice per year, for example, or on a 2-year basis. This is something that should be done.
Also, this point, dedicate resources to the institutional communication strategy, as said by Emilia at the beginning in the strategies. It is important also, speaking about the financial point, to have a team engaged in communication. And it is not always the case in some university, because there are people that are engaged in several aspects, including communication. But having someone specific in communication could help to improve the visibility and the goals that the institution want to achieve through the communication strategy.
And again, sorry to interrupt, but I saw just a comment that it's interaction with the audience. And it is part of also what has been said last week with our colleagues from UTAD, like the importance of making sure that you know who you're talking to, so you identify who is your audience, and you try to make the message in a way that it's understandable to who is receiving it. So the communication flow has to be both sides. It's not only reflecting on how the institution communicates, but also to make sure that you understand who you're talking to and which kind of message will actually reach the target group. So this is a reflection that it's continuously going on. At least in UNIMED, we always try to understand who are we communicating to, and how to make sure that the message gets in the right form, but also to the right people, let's say.
when we talk about effective communication, for example, Facebook or Twitter, here is very true the concept that each audience has a channel and each audience has a language. For example, if we are going to use social media, we know, for example, that some channels are just for people of a certain age. Some others are, let's say, for people that are also at the institutional level, follow up on those channels because they're more, let's say, serious and professional. For example, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is showing very interesting results in the last years. And this is not only in Europe or Arabic country, but it's very transversal as a tool because it's very professional and it has a huge follow-up of interaction as well. Is not the same case, for example, for Instagram, that is also different based. Instagram is more communication through pictures. So also these require, let's say, different professionalism on the back, or you have a professional photographer, for example, or young people traveling around, and or a graphic designer that use to do Canva very professionally. So all these channel and tool have different exigency, different audience and different way to communicate. So the communication, the message should be adapted according to the channel we use. And I also want to add that sometimes do more is useless. For example, I want to say another thing that we also have experienced in the past, and also having many channels but leave them empty is not a good practice as well. Sometimes, and this is why we should analyze our audience and the message that we want to share. It's also best thing to do is to really see which content, which audience is reached, through which channel, instead of having 10 channels open but leave them empty. It is also in this case, let's say, a form of meta communication. We are communicating in this way, leaving channel empty that we do not know our audience. So also in this case, we should put attention during our strategy and during our plan. And the analysis and the benchmarking are useful tools in this way to support us for the new communication campaign, for the initiative to open a new channel. Yeah, really stick with the resources we have and use that we do of those resources.
I think we can give the floor to all the participants if they have questions, doubts, not just related to the questions, but to the whole presentation. So if you have question, doubts, something, also some comments that you would like to express, feel free to do it. Thank you.
If you want to share with us some experience about the communication strategy, or, for example, critical aspect, or comments about the step that we have shown. If we missed something, if perhaps we can develop better together some point that we missed or we didn't took into consideration. Or you want to share with us how it is, let's say, or organize your office for the communication. Yes, please, Fuzia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you
Hi.
for this nice lecture. I would like to add something about communication, since communication is very important. Some of the websites, they write the email, but once you contact them, they don't contact you again. Maybe this is due to the poor team that they are working, and you ignore to contact with them again. So the first thing we need once we are going to do the website, we need a good team. Maybe it's not in one person. We need more than one person to reply for the messages or the emails. Another thing I would like to add is about the culture. For example, here in Libya, we don't consider the idea of the emails so much. So many people, they don't look for their emails unless they have what we called it, sometimes they have sessions or something, so they keep up looking for the emails. Another thing is about the idea of different channels that you have addressed, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. Here in Libya, what is common is the Facebook. The majority of the people are looking on the Facebook. So I think that the best thing that you are going to do, I don't want to say ads, but the best thing is the Facebook. I remember that I have been applied to the Amethyst in PSL courses, and it was the best thing for me is the Facebook through the advertisements. I would like to say something. Maybe I'm talking too much today.
No, please feel free. Feel free. It gives us our other inputs. You know, we want to talk with you now. Thank you. So please continue.
The organization of the website of the university or the organization itself is very, very important. I think one of you have talked about the graphics and the visual aids and how they should be, what we called it, organized. Some of the universities like this, you cannot find what we call it, graphics or visuals, and they lack a lot of information. So once you visit or navigate the website, you don't find what you want to find it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Fuzia.
My name is Fuzia.
Sorry, Fuzia.
Fuzia.
Asifa.
Okay, that's okay.
شكرا جزيلا.
Grazie.
Grazie a te. So you were raising...
This is effective communication.
Yeah.
Use many languages at the same time.
Yes, I just want to underline what just one point that Fuzia highlighted is the fact that she actually knew that in Libya, Facebook is one of the most used channels. So if you are addressing a public, an audience based in Libya, Facebook is clearly something that you should invest on. Invest on means that, for example, you can use also this tool, let's say, engaging one person of the communication staff to be the interactive one in the Facebook conversation. This is an idea. So where to invest our sometimes very poor resources for the communication? Target the right tools. So instead of investing in Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, for example, if we know that we are addressing a Libyan public and we know that Facebook is the most used platform in Libya, we invest the resources there. And with resources also, for example, sponsored campaign, a person that interacts, reply to the comment and the question in the chat of the, let's say, of the post in Facebook. Thank you, Fuzia. Please, Mohammed, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for your very nice and fruitful presentation. It is not a question. I just ask the consent of you and the previous presenters to use your presentation as a media or as a reference for our local training session. Is it okay? You are already sent us the all the presentation and this one as well. We need to use them as a reference. Is it okay?
Absolutely, Dr. Mohammed, absolutely. And this is one of the scope of this training to be further expanded to your colleagues. So we will be more than happy to include these in your local trainings. And as you know, there are some topics which will be the same for all the Libyan partners of Ibtikar, but then you have freedom to include any other issue that you deem relevant. So absolutely. And if I can add a comment which relates to the project, as you know, as I said also last time, in Work Package 5, there are some actions to be piloted. And one example might be to define a communication strategies related to your research agendas. So we have been working with the Libyan institutions to define a research agenda, to define some objectives for the future of your research and the research in your institution. And an occasion would be to imagine, to define a communication strategy over the long term in relation currently to the strategy of the institution and the research agenda. So the strategy of your universities in terms of research development. It's something quite complex, but it can be a starting point to reflect also on how to relate all the research work and the research agendas and later on the white paper to how to communicate your goals, your mission, what you're already doing, your needs, your challenges, but also all the opportunities. So coming back to your questions, yes, indeed, it might be a plus to engage your administrative staff as well and all the colleagues taking part in this training together with all the academics and the colleagues for the local trainings and speak about communication as well.
Thank you very much.
شكرا.
I would like to comment on Fawzia's comment actually, because what she did was a self-evaluation of how she sees the communication around her from the institution. And I think this is a first step in order to establish a communication strategy, is by observing and then have that kind of brainstorming of what you noticed worked and what you noticed didn't work. And once you have that, you know that for your own institution, you can implement this because somehow at some point you suffered from a person who did not reply, not finding an email, having a Twitter and not Facebook in a community, for example, that uses this. And I think this is very important to be self-aware of your own society, because communication is very different from one place to another. So the self-evaluation actually is very good to start a communication strategy, because many people think that implementing or starting a strategy might be complicated or difficult or need an expert. But it's once you learn it, it becomes very natural, and like you became very natural in observing what's happening around you and in criticizing in a positive way your own work and the work of others and try to developing. So I think this is very important and a start point for communication work.
We are perfectly on time, but we still have time for one comment or one question from the audience, if any. Otherwise, we will share the recording of the session, the slides from our trainers, and also the outcomes of the Mentimeter game, the interactive session. So it can be food for thoughts even after this webinar. Yes, Dr. Mohammed.
Please, Martina, we haven't heard about the roadmap and the white paper. You know, these steps should come directly after we have achieved the research agenda. The steps after achieving the research agenda, there is two main points, is the roadmap and the white paper. and we haven't heard about this. And what about these 2 points?
We are working on it and will be, well, on the roadmaps, we are working on an example which also relates to the local training. So we will get back to you hopefully next week already. And for the white paper, I'm in contact with the colleagues of the University of Salento, and we will share a date for talking about it and selecting a working group to specifically develop the white paper. So we have been quite busy with arranging all the activities for work package 3 and 4, but we haven't forgot about these 2 steps. So thank you. We'll definitely start working on both as soon as possible.
Just you know, the most already finished. We don't know. We cannot guarantee the extension of the project. So if it is possible, we can work hard in this to finalize the project.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
There is Khadija that raised her hand. Please, Khadija.
Hello, thank you very much for your insightful presentation indeed, which give us the way towards how raising awareness of how to create and how evaluate communication strategies and plans. I think I agree with my colleague Fozia that that Facebook is quite popular in our local area, but I do think that implementing and enhancing and promoting websites as a different and effective channel could be quite successful, and it can be also encouraged via Facebook. It can be we can encourage the local audience towards using the website if it's actually a successful website and interactive and updated, and it has the qualities necessary and needed to create effective environment and effective communication. I think it can be a useful channel for the local audience, I mean. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Khadija. These go hand by hand. Yes, you mentioned now with the local community, because also the university have a very impactful role for the local community. For example, if you want to elaborate the strategy for improving the internationalization of your university, perhaps then the Facebook channel will not the main one, and but the development of clear information within the website in English, if we are going to reach, let's say, foreigner students, should be taken into evaluation. So this is why it's important to have a strategy, have a plan, analyze everything, and do the count with what we can do with our own resources. There is Nuha. Please, Nuha.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
I have a question. I think it's a part from today's session topic. It's about the attendance, Actually, I'm facing difficulty with some participants to enforce them or to ask them to join the sessions. So I just would like to ask whether these sessions are obligatory or not. Because is it the responsibility of the university to ask them to attend, or what happens if the university wasn't able or is not able to assign the number required by Ibtikar?
As you know, Nuha, we always go through the local coordinators to engage the staff at the university. So we share communication with our focal point in all the Libyan universities, and then it's up to the local coordinators to identify the participants which may be interested and willing to take part in the training and engage them in the sessions. Of course, we are well aware of the difficulties because of many different reasons, starting from the situation of the country, then the being online, and then being in English. So we are aware that it might not just be straightforward. I think what you can do is to try to explain the benefits of taking part in the training, which means somehow getting to know the experience of other institutions and how they deal with one or another topic, and get inputs of reflection for their own daily work, but also in terms of the institutional development. Then, of course, we're not here to, I don't know how to use the right word, but we are not here to judge whether you're able to do it or there is no actual consequence if there are no participants from one or another institution. What we believe is that it's a missed opportunity. That's the only thing we can say, that we are in the framework of this project. The scope is to strengthen the capacities of the universities, and we can only do that raising the capacities of the staff working at the institution. So if there is something, if there is a message we can pass, is that when the training is not attended, is a missed opportunity for the single people and for the institution. But then, of course, it all depends on the situation at your own situation, your own capacity, and your own willingness. So this is nothing we can answer to. I don't know if I answer your question, but we hope to have more participants, of course. We set a minimum requirement because we have also indicators to be reached in the proposal. So we have some numbers to be reached. But most importantly, and that's what we always stress in the framework of the project, we want to do something which is useful and is useful for your universities. So let's not think about numbers right now. Let's not think about the challenges. Just trying, we would like to focus on the opportunities we can offer in one way or another.
Thank you, Martina. I just want to clarify something regarding the upcoming trainers. You know, I need trainers, you know, so I don't know what can I do if I don't have trainees or trained people or participants, if they don't attend these sessions. So is it possible for them to run a training session, or this is what I'm thinking of in the upcoming training programs or sessions?
Well, the logic of the project is that we, as let's say European partners, train some Libyan staff, and then those who have been trained further expand the knowledge to others. So it's a two steps capacity building action from, let's say, the European trainers towards the Libyan institution, then inside each institution to train others. So that's the logic of the project, and in general capacity building initiatives, and that should be also the logic of our Ibtikar project. But what we can do, Noah, if you agree, is that we can maybe schedule a meeting between us, UNIMED, and you. So I will engage also Anne Laurence, which is not right now here connected, and we will try to see how to overcome the challenge and how to manage the next activities.
Yes, hopefully, yeah. Thank you.
So I think we will, we are
I just want to quickly comment on Khadija note because she said something very interesting that also Martina can be a wrap up to everything me and my colleague said, which she said that the communication should spread awareness. So I wanted to really highlight this word because this is the role of the communication that you do, whether internally or externally, is to have awareness for your staff, for your stakeholder, for your faculty, for your students. So I just wanted to really highlight this word, which is the purpose of the communication work in general.
Thank you so much, Amina.
We are a few minutes late ahead of schedule, but it means that we had a very nice conversation between us, and this is very good. I want to thank you so much, my colleagues, Emilia, Amina, and Federica, for taking the time of sharing their experience and their expertise with us, because I want to be among the trainees this time. I learned as well. I hope it has been interesting and useful for you, and it provided you with additional inputs for reflection, both from an operational point of view, but also on a strategic point of view. It has to be food for thoughts for how to communicate, to who communicate,
and how to strategically approach the task. I hope to see you all next Thursday. Next session will be
with the Bogazici University, so with our Turkish colleagues. I'll get back to you with both the recordings and the training resources from this training, and then the connection details for the next one. So thank you so much for being with us, and we will also share our contacts. So anytime you have questions, I'm sure my colleagues will be happy to answer. But you can always reach out to us. So thank you so much for your time. I wish you, as always, a good continuation of your day and a good weekend, since weekend is approaching in Libya. We have another working day tomorrow, but we'll get back to you soon for all the next steps of the project and the training. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Grazie. Grazie.
Thank you. Shukran, grazie, grazie mille.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.